What's up? It is the Sports Live on a Thursday. Gonna have I think it's gonna be a fun show today. It's a little bit different topic. We're gonna do a little Would You Rather here on A to Z Sports Thursday morning, talking Titans, because the Titans head coach was asked specifically about tanking yesterday. For the first time this season, I believe, the head coach asked about losing games on purpose for a better draft pick, and if that's the plan or not. So we're gonna discuss how we feel about that and play Would You Rather for how we would rather the Titans season end. Gonna have a good show today. Sam, fairly busy this morning, so a little later than normal, but that allowed for a lot of, hey, at least Sam's still on Survivor, and we can keep watching Sam Wednesday nights. Even if the Titans keep losing, Sam keeps winning. So there we go. We're going to have a good show.
Had some people worried for me last night.
How were you worried last night?
I had a lot of, before the episode, I had a lot of people worried.
Before the episode, I was about to say, because like once the episode started, it was just like, oh yeah, you get to go eat food again and keep drinking beer.
Yeah, it's great.
That was a pretty easy episode overall. But no, we're going to have a good show here. To tank or not to tank? That is the question of the day surrounding quarterback Will Levis. We also have the magic bucket. And by the way, happy Halloween to everybody. We made it to Halloween talking about tanking here on this Thursday morning. Sam, welcome in. Tell the people what they got to do here.
Hey, before we do it today, make sure you share the show before we go. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link, send it in the chat, send it to a Titans fan, an NFL fan, somebody in your life. You can also repost us, retweet us at ATOZ Sports on Twitter/X. Get the word out there that we're going live. We're talking tanking. We're having what I think is actually a very important debate, a very low-key important debate for the rest of the season for the Titans. So get the word out, leave a like on the show before we go, and we kick things off here on a Thursday morning, folks.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports.network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show every segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Follow us there at A to Z Sports. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans and use our link to do it, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, join their campaign to end littering across Tennessee by visiting NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. So we've already touched on it. Sam's still surviving on Survivor every Wednesday at 7 Central. So if the Titans are not going to keep winning games, at least we can see how long Sam continues to survive on the island. So that's a fun side show for Titans fans, because the main show is disastrous and has been disastrous with a 1-6 start. And officially the head coach asked about tanking. But before we get to tanking, we do have to update the health of the quarterback, because Will Levis has been not healthy enough to go in Buffalo or in Detroit. And the Titans got 0-2 results out of Mason Rudolph's starts after Levis did play against the Colts the last time we saw him in Nissan Stadium and losing a close game, and Levis admitting not having the best health. So here is Brian Callahan, the head coach, on his quarterback, who remains the starter when healthy, going into this week of practice on yesterday's Wednesday press.
We'll come out to practice today. We're going to try to get a feel for where he's at after some rest, see how he feels throwing the ball, see how it looks. The more important part for Will right now is going to be not just today, but Thursday, Friday's worth of days consecutively throwing to see how that goes. He feels good after the rest and some time off of throwing, so we'll see what it looks like as the week goes along.
Is the plan going to be similar to what it was heading into Buffalo, where you really test him on those?
It'll be a we'll make sure that if he's feeling good and feeling up to it, then we'll ramp it up and see where he's at. We'll test all the throws, make sure he can make them all, make sure he feels confident in it, and then if he does, then we'll move forward. But we'll see how the week goes along.
So last time they did this, he was too sore before the Buffalo game and could not finish and make all the throws to be ready to play. And before the Indy game that he did play, he was full participant out there going after the rest, and it felt like he was okay to do it, but clearly he wasn't. So, Sam, what's been your evaluation of the way the Titans have handled Will Levis's shoulder, how Will Levis has handled that shoulder, and then what you guys saw from a brief moment of practice yesterday?
Yeah, well, I think what happened with Will Levis in the shoulder was my biggest fear regarding Will Levis and his shoulder in real time. He gets hurt against the Miami Dolphins, and has the bye week and an extra week to go ahead and recover and try and get back for that game against the Indianapolis Colts. But the weirdest thing, Austin, was that even after Levis got hurt against Miami, he was on the sideline throwing footballs, getting warm, trying to test out his arm and see how it feels. Now, clearly it didn't feel good enough for him to go back into the game. He was in too much pain. He couldn't get it done. But, my thought leading up to the Indianapolis game was, if Will was already throwing the ball and now he's had 2 weeks to recover and make sure he's good, he seems like he's lined up pretty well to make a start. And what Brian Callahan and the Titans coaching staff had said leading up to that game in Indianapolis is that it's all about how Will feels, that at this point it was a pain tolerance issue and how much pain could he tolerate leading up to that game against Indy, and could he still get the job done to make them, a winning team? Could he be a winning quarterback with that injury? Now, that sounds great. The issue with it was that it is completely subjective and it is completely built around whatever Will Levis feels. And Will Levis is a competitive guy. Will Levis is a guy that wants to go out there and leave it all on the field for his team. He wants to play. He wants to be the starting quarterback. And I think Will pushed himself just a little bit too far leading up to the Colts. He told Coach, yeah, I'm good. I can do it. And I don't think the Titans pushed him hard enough in camp to figure out, is he really good? Yeah. And then he gets out there against the Colts. He kind of, lays a brick a little bit. He doesn't really get the job done. He doesn't make the throws that he needs to make. He realizes he wasn't healthy enough to go. He talks about it afterwards, and the Titans need to back off. The Titans need to sit him down. They need to go into Buffalo, with Mason Rudolph. They need to go into Detroit with Mason Rudolph. And now they're very hesitant about the idea of playing Levis again because they know that he wasn't okay the last time he was okay, and it messed it up. Not only did it make him worse physically by setting him back, but it also cost their team a game because they didn't have a competent quarterback back there. And so I think they're going through the same situation here, where the difficulty is nobody knows how Will Levis feels besides Will Levis. And you got to push him. You got to make sure that you are pushing your quarterback hard enough to know, does he have what it takes to succeed in a game, not just in a casual practice.
Which is why I was very strong on the don't play him versus the Colts. Make it, instead of 13 days of rest, it's 20 days of rest. And that's because my whole thing is you don't want to play him too early to jeopardize more games to evaluate. And that's exactly what they've done, because they've jeopardized the Bills game, the Lions game to evaluate. Now, I said sit the Colts game. So now you're -1. You're -1 game from Will Levis to evaluate him. And he's not a guarantee to play against the Patriots. So you could be -2 overall net from that. Now, so the funny thing is the Dirty RC bar said before the show started in the YouTube waiting room, let's go A to Z, bring the heat today with some solid takes that the front office can listen to in order to improve. Now, they should have listened to me when I said that during the bye week and coming off of the bye week.
Credit to you. You were right. You were very right. And you were right with partial information too, like a Titans coaching staff that was actually watching Will play.
Yeah.
And, a medical staff that was actually giving him treatment for his shoulder with that information. Absolutely. Like you said, he shouldn't have played in that game. And you do have to wonder how different the season is for Will Levis. Cause look, I want to remind some folks, not to bring some heat on myself for being a truther or whatever, or a defender, but I think Will Levis had looked better every single week, right? Like Chicago was a disaster because of like the casual turnover, like the sloppy turnovers, right? And he looked good against the Jets with another crazy sloppy turnover.
Yep.
But I do think he looked even better against the Green Bay Packers, and the Titans defense really let them down in that game.
Agree.
And so you started to see the building blocks of Will Levis starting to come together. Well, then he gets hurt right at the beginning of the Miami game. We don't really get to see what he brought to the table against the Dolphins. He's a shell of himself against the Colts, and the injury really sort of
Limited.
suffocated any sort of momentum he was building towards having a good season. And you do kind of have to wonder, if you sit Will Levis down against the Colts, you let him get healthy, you let him potentially start to build more momentum, what does he look like coming back healthy for this back half of the season against some worse defenses?
For sure. Now, I think the Titans maybe beat the Colts, and they're 2-5. They still probably lose the Bills and the Lions regardless, but maybe it's building that momentum like you're saying, because now we're sitting here having the head coach being asked questions about tanking. So we're going to get to those answers here in a second, but the Titans do have another home game coming up, which is another opportunity for you guys to take a boat to the football game, because we all know with the new Nissan Stadium construction going on that the parking has kind of been literally blown up. And so you don't have the amount of parking or the easy in and out of that. You have something to add?
I have an announcement to make. I think Titans, 2 home games from now, Titans and Vikings at Nissan Stadium in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks from Sunday.
I think I might take a Nashville water taxi to work.
I think that would be awesome.
I think I might wear my suit. And
not this Sunday, but
no, Titans and Vikings at Nissan Stadium in the middle of November. I think I might take Nashville water taxi to work.
You should. That would be badass. Like, guess what I did? I took a boat to work, and then you get to take the boat back afterwards. So the Titans are probably gonna lose to the Vikings. And then you're gonna be like, you know what?
Oh, wait, I didn't think that through. How late after the game do the boats go back? Because I'm gonna be.
We'll have to ask our guy.
But there's a non-zero chance that I take a boat to work. I'm heavily considering.
I think you should take a boat to work, even if you have to take a different way back to your car.
Take an Uber home, but a boat to work. Yeah.
Because Sam's got like an extra hour and a half, 2 hours of work to do at the stadium.
Right.
You guys don't.
I'm gonna get done, go to the locker room,
Yes.
like wrap up my locker room stuff, and then have to go get back on a boat. And so, but I do think it would be a funny video. I'll post a reel to A to Z Sports. Just pregame, I'm in a suit on my way to the stadium on a boat. So that idea just came to me. Remind me to talk to you about it after the show.
We'll get it organized. Yeah, we'll get it organized. The NashvilleWaterTaxi.com is where to go. You can tailgate and take a boat to work or take a boat to the game, as Sam was saying. So that would be a great idea. All right, so let's hear I kept the question in from Paul Kuharsky because I do think it's important to understand how Brian Callahan was asked the question about tanking from Paul Kuharsky yesterday in the Wednesday presser.
There's a noisy fan base segment that says lose away. They want the better draft capital.
Sure.
There's a small element of that fan base that says that's the plan. They don't only want to see you lose to get it. They think that you're planning to lose to get it.
I understand.
Your thoughts on those?
I understand that from the outside looking in, that's easy to say when you don't have any dog in a fight. But I'll say this: I've never been anywhere, and I've been on some teams that have lost games. Where at any point that is part of our thought process. That's not for me to think about. If people out there want to think about it, or that's an organizational, they're looking at different things, that's fine. That's their job. But our job is to go put the best product on the field every single week, play as hard as we can, do everything we can to win a game. And I'll always take that stance. That is always what I believe in, for the same reason I just said. There's a bunch of guys where this is their job and their livelihood, and it means something to them. And they put themselves on the line, they put their bodies on the line, they fight through injuries, and at no point would that ever be something that anybody in a football coaching or locker room would ever think about or try to do. That's not how this works for us. There's too much at stake and too much at risk for anybody to do anything other than everything they possibly can to go win a game.
So Brian Callahan got really close to dropping one of my favorite commercial lines of all time, of when the old ladies are sitting in their house And one says, I put my pictures up on my wall. And she like literally put her in like the lady said, that's not how any of this works. That's not how this works. The Geico commercial. But that isn't how they work. And somebody asked like why, what dog in the hunt do the Titans have? Because that's what the analogy that Brian Callahan used. And they have their whole life.
They are the dog.
Their career. Yeah.
They are.
It's their career that they are trying to fight for, because the NFL, you can make a lot of, what does the NFL acronym mean? National Football League, not for long, no fair league, no fun league. There's a lot of things you can say, but not for long is real. And so they are not going to tank. It is not the plan. However, you could field a roster that is not good, that is going to lose games to set yourself up. But the guys on the field doing the playing are trying to win every snap that they have.
Yeah. Anthony says right here, fans can want to lose because it's strategically smart or whatever you want to root for as a fan. But a coach is not going to create a losing culture, and you're not going to intentionally lose games. It not only affects Brian Callahan as the head coach, it affects his players. It affects a lot. It affects money coming into the organization. It affects, a number of things that will have long-term ramifications and, makes history. You have to play hard. You have to coach hard, especially at this point in the season. I mean, I will say maybe the only instance, which again, maybe the luckiest instance of all time, is the Houston Texans in 2022, finishing the season. All they have to do is lose to the Colts and they get the number 1 overall pick. And if they win, the Chicago Bears get the number 1 overall pick.
Or the Carolina Panthers.
Huh?
No, wait, never mind.
No, the Bears will get number 1 and then possibly trade it.
Right.
And, Lovie Smith and this team, a coaching staff that knows they're about to be fired, a quarterback in Davis Mills that knows he's about to be replaced. They go out there and they win a game, and they cost the Texans the number 1 pick. Now it works out for them in the long run. They go get CJ Stroud instead of Bryce Young, and it's the best thing that ever happened to the Texans franchise. But in the moment, like that would have been tough. Tough. I can't lie. If I was like the Texans owner, it would have been difficult to sit there and be like, hey, Lovey, if we lose, we lose. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if it happens, it happens. So when it's a 1-game sort of thing, I can see a little bit more pressure. But yeah, you're not going to go out there and tank the second half of a season just because you start 1-6 and ruin your livelihood and the livelihood of your players for, a draft pick that's not guaranteed.
For sure. And so I think it creates a very interesting dynamic because, there are people that say it is strategically smart. Patrica says that's why they did get fired, just because they won. Tank or play, same outcome. And so you see a lot of these people of like, and Bork says there'll be a 30 for 30 about the domino effect of that one particular game between the Texans and Colts.
Maybe not though.
Yeah, because like
unless the Texans were going to take
Bryce Young.
Well, yeah, but even if they were going to take Bryce Young, then it's like a weird domino effect in their favor. You know what I mean? Like it's like a weird winning that game. So I guess maybe if they were going to take Bryce Young number 1, then
it would be very different. So Jeffrey Simmons, we'll get to Jeffrey Simmons here in a second, but because I do think it's an interesting question that we should ask the audience here, because there is one team that I kind of look at of this is how it went. Like the Titans could lose out. They could and lose out by finishing 2 or 3, max maybe 4 wins on the season.
Real quick before we ask the question, how real? Like, what do you see here?
Okay.
At this stage in the season, Austin,
I see a winnable game Sunday, which I think this is why we're having the conversation now. Is because they have the Patriots on Sunday.
Which is their most winnable game left.
Yes, but again, like the Patriots just won. The Patriots are a bad football team. I told this to Easton yesterday. I think I told you this off the show the day before. Bad football teams don't win back-to-back games.
Yeah.
The Patriots are a bad football team. They just won. This has everything written on Titans win on Sunday. Titans money line, if you want to take it, it's probably too juicy. But I think, winning at the Chargers is not a crazy idea. Like, you could win at the Chargers. Now, you've just followed my scenario. If you beat the Patriots, or the Titans are a bad team, they don't win back-to-back games in the NFL, so they probably lose. But right,
yeah, the Chargers. The Chargers are just so much better coached than the Titans are.
Right, but anyway, the Washington game and the Vikings game are completely different than what we expected when the schedule came out. The Jags suck. There's 2 potential wins. The Colts are kind of flailing. You never know what can happen there.
I think that it's tough to beat the Colts with Flacco.
You could have beat the Colts with Flacco 3 weeks ago.
True.
You should have.
You had a better team then, though.
Yeah. So, excuse me. The Bengals are they are better. So look, there's
do we see 3 more wins on this schedule?
Yeah, they could win 3 more games, sure, because they can I think they could sweep the Jags. The Jags
with the current state of the NFL and the amount of teams that stink. Let's see if I can upload this as well, because I'll get something uploaded too. So you say maybe 3 more wins, maybe even 4 more wins, right? So like if you're looking at a 4-13, 5-12 sort of team, and this is the top 10 in the draft order right now, look at how many bad teams there are around.
So many.
Like what does 4-13 in most years gets you a top 3 pick? I don't know if it does this year.
Well, here's the difference. Leave that up for a second, because look at, there are 10 teams that have 2 or less losses, which is wild at this part. But you've got a lot of divisional opponents that will continue to play each other. Carolina and New Orleans are right there. You've got the Dolphins and the Jets and the Patriots all right there. So there's going to be 5 games or at least between those 3 teams that are going to pick up. You've got
Jags.
Yeah, you've got the Jags and the Titans as well. So there's teams are going to win, and so it's not all going to stay like that because these teams play each other, but it is kind of wild of how many bad teams there are. So let's just say, because this is good to have, let's say losing out is a maximum of 4 wins on the season. So a maximum of 3 more. Is that fair?
Yeah. So 4-13 or worse.
Or worse. That's losing out. Then there's
losing out is not a literal 1-16 scenario, but it is. Yeah.
So 4-13 or worse. That's losing out. Then there's the finish strong idea, because that's what Jeffrey Simmons said in the locker room about needing to win. So here's Big Jeff.
I mean, we all fighting for a win, and I think we want to win. I want to win. I'm speaking for myself right now. I don't know what they got going on over there, but I want to win. I think it's time for us to actually get a win, but most importantly, take care of our home turf. Like I said, we haven't done that so far this year, and it's time to get a win at home. So I'm excited to be back at home, and hopefully we get a win this weekend.
Seeing your coach after these games, I mean, you can tell he's really wearing these losses. All you guys are. What's the belief system like for Coach Cali?
I mean, it's still like when he first came in, what he believed in, and our expectations for this team. Our record shows 1-6. But that's not who we are. It's who we are because that's the record. But at the end of the day, especially the work we put in camp, the type of offense I've seen, is the stuff we've seen on defense and special teams during camp. We didn't expect to be here at 1-6. And the belief has been just handling the little things, the detail, being disciplined, especially on defense. And when it comes down to special teams, everyone doing their job and playing, tip-top effort at the end of the day. So, I think the belief is still there. Well, I would say I know the belief is still there. His message is still the same. We just got to find a way to get one. Everything else, as we know, them wins start to stack, and we could turn the season around.
I think you.
So Jeff says the wins could stack, you turn the season around. So I just said no more than 4 wins, which over the last 3 years, since they moved to 17 games, if you have 4 wins or less, you're picking top 5. Most likely to pick top 4. So you're talking like losing out for a top 4, top 5 pick. Or what if they do finish strong? Because the team the Titans just played, the Detroit Lions 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 seasons ago, 2022, started 1-6. Now you could say, oh, well, how'd they play 1-6? They had a lot of close losses, and they also got their ass kicked a lot too. So it was very similar to what the Titans have done. Close losses, and you've gotten your ass kicked 3 times.
Yep.
3 close losses, 3 ass kickings. It's very similar to what the Lions were at 1-6 in the 2022 season. They finished 9-8. They finished strong. Now that's unbelievable. Like, that's a hot finish. I'm not saying the Titans are going to win 8 of the last 9 games, but let's say they win 6
of 10.
5 is 5 of 10 finishing.
If they finish 6 and 10, they finish 7 and 10.
Yeah.
5 and or 6 and 11.
6 and 11, 7 and 10.
Yeah.
I think that's a finish strong type of season, right?
I would, yeah. I mean, if you win at least half or more of your games to end the year, I think that would be finishing strong for this team.
Absolutely. So let's ask this question. Would you rather the Titans lose out or finish strong?
Well, let's also contextualize this, right?
Yeah.
So, because lose out, again, reminder, means they finish 4-13 or worse, or 3-14, whatever. Like, they are bad. One of the worst teams in the league. They tank. Finish strong also means they don't need a quarterback, right? Let's say that finishing strong also means that Will Levis looks very good down the stretch for the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes, right? Like, that's what we're going for here.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, because IR says I'm torn. I cannot answer. We'll figure it out.
Like,
figure it out.
So lose out all the way, or you finish very strong, and Will Levis really shows some signs of life and improvement, and it's a real testament to this coaching staff. Yep,
that's what I want to dive into. So we'll do all of that here in a moment. So finish strong or lose out. So lose out or finish strong. How would you rather the Titans season end? Lose out or finish strong? We'll get to your thoughts on that one. I'll put up a YouTube poll as well. The Bone and Joint Institute. That's how I first learned. I was like, you know what? Will Levis should not play against the Colts, because the Doc Talk segment that Easton and I had with the Bone and Joint Institute about the AC joint, that's where I first had the brainchild of like, no, sit this guy down, give him an extra week or so to heal. That didn't happen. Now Will Levis has missed the last 2 games, but the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for any of your injury needs or anything that's bothering you. Maybe it's an old injury. Maybe you had something back from your playing days, or you're just your younger years when you were more reckless with your body. And now that you've gotten older, you're just like, God, feel that thing from about 15 years ago. Go get it looked at. Don't just live in pain. That's miserable. Go get it checked out. The Bone and Joint Institute, when you need them. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, located in Franklin off of I-65 and Highway 96, right next to Williams Medical Center. Book an appointment if you need them. boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM.com, and your first bet is risk-free. That money goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet, whether it's any amount up to $1,500. NFL, college football, I guess no longer Major League Baseball because the World Series wrapped up last night. But, college basketball is coming back soon. We've got NHL, we've got NBA. There's a lot of stuff to bet on. It's a good time to get involved with the new sports book and get with BetMGM. Use that bonus code ATOZ Sports for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets.
All right, so how would you rather see this Titans season end? Lose out or finish strong? We've said that lose out is 4-13 or worse. Finish strong is 7 or 6-11 or 7-10, right? Winning at least half of your games
with Will Levis playing good football,
right? With Will Levis,
and that can look like however you want it to look, like
absolutely,
whatever you imagine good football looking like,
for sure. So lose out or finish strong. Sam, I'll send you to the chat. What are you seeing?
All right, I'm going to make sure I'm at the top here. I do think I am. Darren wants to lose out. Nick says lose out. So does Caps. Eric says finish strong. We need momentum going into the offseason. Hill says would love for them to win out, so that would be awesome, but they're not going to, so might as well just tank. I'm torn, like you pointed out. We got to finish strong from Chris. We got to lose for Borks as be in position for a quarterback or the top wide receiver. We got to lose out from Jason, finish strong from Scott, a lose out from Cashville, finish strong from Karen. Finishing strong might have the same effect as the Atlanta game, says Jamar, which is interesting. Brian says, what's worse than tanking? QB purgatory. Steven says, lose out. Hashtag trust the tank. We got finish strong, finish strong, finish strong. Caleb says, lose out. Deborah says, finish strong, lose, finish strong, lose, finish strong, lose, finish strong. Duh. I mean, chat's pretty torn here, Austin. I keep going down and I'm seeing people on both sides of the fence between, do you just want to lose out, or does a strong finish to the season, building momentum for your coaching staff and your young quarterback, does that do it for you?
Yeah, look, it's tough. And I did put up the YouTube poll. By the way, like the show if you haven't already. If you're watching on YouTube, there's like 150 plus people that have not liked the show that are watching on YouTube. So please, please, please like the show. Facebook, there's about 50% of you guys that have not liked the show too. So, so please like the show if you can. Hey, look, King VC right on Johnny on the spot. Lock in, like the show. So, real quick, I saw this comment. Lucky Chucky comes in and says, get the answers on Levis. I think if you lose out, you have the answer on Levis.
I agree.
Opinion, right? If you finish strong, you might or you might not.
I agree.
So
depends on how he looks in the wins.
Right. But like, just if they finish strong, it doesn't automatically mean that Levis figured it out. Now, how we have phrased this conversation is, you finish strong with Will Levis, meaning you're winning 5 or 6 or more games in the last 10. That feels like Will Levis takes a drastic step compared to where he was the first month and a half or first month of the season. So which would you rather have happen? Sam? I would rather the Titans lose out. I don't know how you're going to answer this, but I would rather the Titans lose out. And this is frankly just because I don't believe in Will Levis long term. And I don't think it would be great if Will Levis, I think if Will Levis figures it out and they finish strong, I still think he is not the guy, and inevitably it'll fall apart and the Titans are going to get stuck in it and waste time. So this is a flat out me not believing in Will Levis long term. I think he can get better. I said this yesterday. I think he will play better in the second half of the season whenever he returns. That doesn't mean I think he's a franchise guy. I don't think you should be riding with him and building around him in the future. So with these two scenarios, I would rather rip the Band-Aid off, lose out, pick 4, 5 or higher, and find the next guy. That is my preference in this scenario.
Yeah, it's very hard. And mine does not come down to a Levis thing.
Okay.
Mine comes down to an organizational thing. Kind of top down. I would rather the Titans lose out. And I would rather the Titans lose out because I'm sick of the organization not having direction, of the excuse making, of piling. Oh, it's on Will. Oh, it's on Mike. Oh, it's on John. Oh, it's always on the last guy.
The Mike before the Mike.
Yeah, the Mike before the Mike and the John that was in between both of them. Or I guess.
Yes, Mike Malucky, John, and Mike Vrabel. Yes.
I mean, I'm over the excuse making, and it feels like Will Levis is sort of the scapegoat in many ways for a Titans team that lacks talent, and like in a lot of ways. The Titans don't do a ton well, but because the quarterback has been a problem, that is what is highlighted above all else.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Will comes out and looks better, I agree with you. I still think there's questions about whether or not he's the answer long term. I think the fact that he's a second-round pick, only has 4 years of a rookie contract without a fifth-year option, and would have to be paid after next year, puts you in a really dangerous timeline. And I would like there to be some accountability for Rand Carthon, for Brian Callahan, for Amy Adams Strunk, and for the organization as a whole. And the way that you get accountability is by giving them a chance to go all in. And so if the Titans lose out, Will Levis moves on, you have the draft pick to go and take the quarterback that you want, there is your hard reset. There's your chance to build it. And if you fail, you're done. But you have to have a clear direction. And what I feel like the Titans have lacked for the last 3 years now is a lack of direction. It's been this weird, we're tearing down the Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry era of Titans football while trying to stay competitive. And Mike Vrabel is helping us stay competitive because he tends to maximize his he's going to play good defense regardless. He's going to find a way to run the ball regardless. And so you don't fully bottom out to get into a position to draft a top quarterback. And you're kind of wanting to compete, but not really when you look at the roster. And it's been this, I mean, even
you know what it is? You know what it is? The Tennessee Titans are renovating their house while their family's still living in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a pain in the ass. And it always takes longer than you initially thought because you set this thing up. If you and I don't have personal experience with this, but
this is a great analogy. I love this analogy, by the way.
So they are like, all right, you know what? We need to upgrade the kitchen. We got to upgrade all the floors. We got to put a new roof on it, and we want to expand the deck and cover it. And it's gonna be badass, guys. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna modernize this house because it still has the 1990s wallpaper in the breakfast room. And everybody's like, hell yeah, awesome idea. But we're still going to live here. But we're going to do it one room at a time, and we'll just move stuff around. It'll be okay. It'll only take like 4 months. And then 8 months into it, you're still having to fold your laundry in like the kitchen because the laundry area is not done because you're redoing that. And there's still guys knocking on your door at 6:30 in the morning to come in and do stuff. And you're still having dust and everything. And you're having to, to do all this random stuff that people are in your house all the time.
Well, and you're, by the time you renovate the kitchen and by the time you add a back patio, by the time you do all that stuff, now you need to replace something in the bathroom. Now you need to go and do something in the bedroom. And the renovations start to stack up and you never fully get caught up because you refuse to just move out and tear it down.
And then the contractor finds mold.
Yeah.
and you're like, damn. And now you've got a whole nother problem you got to fix. And because you started tearing it apart while you're there. It would have been way easier if you just renovated it while you weren't still having to live your daily life in the middle of it all. And that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and that's expensive. Exactly what has happened, right? Is like they tried to keep Derrick Henry through a Will Levis year. Now Derrick Henry's gone, and they're trying to keep DeAndre Hopkins through a Will Levis year. And now that's gone. And then they signed Calvin Ridley and L'Jarius Sneed and gave dudes long-term contracts and realized that Will Levis maybe isn't the renovation that you thought he was. Mm-hmm. And so now you have all of these new things that you added, but you can't get out of the new things that you added because you've paid them and there's a lot of guaranteed money. And yet you don't actually have the foundation that you thought you had to win games. It's broken. And right. They've refused to do what we were just talking about, which is tear down the house and to really rebuild it. And you are forced to do that if you lose enough games to be picking at the top of the draft. In that scenario, you've gotten rid of D-Hop, you've gotten rid of a lot of these guys. I'm sure they'll cut a bunch of players. They'll still have money in free agency, but you can go and get your new quarterback, go and spend some more money to build a roster around them and kind of hit a fresh start button for like a 4-year, 5-year window to see what you've got. And if it doesn't work, Rand won't have a job. Callahan won't have a job. It'll be another fresh reset for Amy Adams Strunk. But I don't know. Like I've grown very frustrated with the Titans kind of going half in year after year after year and not really understanding what the team's objective is. But if you have your answer about Will Levis, which is, here's another thing we said before the season, Austin. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an answer on Will Levis by the end of the year, that's your answer on Will Levis.
For sure.
And I think right now, even as somebody who's optimistic and believes in Will Levis, I don't think you can ever say we know for sure Will Levis is going to be a good quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
You can't say that right now. And because you can't say that, you're going to have to operate as an organization that can't trust that Levis is their guy moving forward. So it sucks to like root for losses. It sucks to be there, but I do think what's best for the franchise long term, it's going to be losing games and getting yourself a top quarterback and at least having some sort of direction.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting you to answer the lose out like I answered it, but I love the way you answered it with how you backed it up. Now, Darren says this analogy is God tier. The analogy of the Titans are renovating the house while still living in it with their entire family. I brought up that all of a sudden you find mold behind the wall, and the practical place asks, who is the mold in this analogy? And Sam, I know exactly who the mold is in the analogy. It's Nicholas Petit Frere.
He's the mold.
NPF is the mold. You didn't expect to find it. You didn't expect NPF to be this disastrous, and now he is. And now you're like, God, but we can't. Like, there's no easy fix. You're just kind of stuck with it.
Well, and to me, there's another thing that happened in this renovation, which is there was a foundational issue. You were banking on tearing down a wall, and you realize that it's a wall that you can't tear down. It's one of those.
You realize that wall is very soft because it's been moldy.
Well, I don't think, but I don't think this is. I don't think that's Nicholas Petit Frere. This wall, this foundational issue. To me, that is the quarterback. Okay. Because to me, you built this new renovation around this foundation and this big investment that you made, and it all centered around the quarterback. But then what happens when you're halfway through your reno and you realize that the foundation is not stable? You have to redo the foundation, and it sets back everything. But when you drafted a quarterback and you saw flashes from Will Levis last year, you invested this offseason to build a fancy house, a fancy new renovation around Will Levis. And once you realize that the quarterback maybe isn't what you thought or hoped he would be, now you have to look in the mirror and wonder if you have to strip it down and start all over.
Yeah, it's a good yeah, definitely a good analogy. To continue it, Elmer says bleach kills mold. Maybe you can call Bill Callahan, his new nickname is Bleach, to try to kill the offensive line mold out of here. All right,
that's
I want to update
Watson.
I want to update the YouTube poll that I put up because it has flipped. It's flipped from the initial trend, and I'm also going to lay out an actual draft scenario that kind of shows the two options here. As well.
I just had another thought, so I'll get to it after you.
Okay. All right. Farm Bureau health plans. Hey, we've been talking about finding mold and you're renovating your house and how much of a mess that can be. You know what also stinks is paying way too much for your health coverage and also really not having the best health coverage out there because there are options and you do have an option to better your situation. And Farm Bureau health plans can absolutely do that because they've been doing that for Tennesseans for over 78 years. You can go to fbhp.com/ATOZ. Find out how much you can save after doing a health assessment. If you're healthy, if your family's in a good situation, you can get a spot where your deductibles may be better for you. You're not having to pay for things you don't need. You don't have to pay out of pocket to go to the dentist twice a year because it's very important. You got to have your teeth. You only get one set of these things, and you don't want to be walking around looking like a crazy person with weird teeth that didn't come naturally. And also vision coverage, whatever that might be, you can take it for what you need with Farm Bureau health plans, serving Tennesseans for 78 plus years. FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use that bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet. If your first bet misses, whatever your first bet wager amount is, that amount can go back into your account if you miss when you use that bonus code. So whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, or college football or basketball coming up now, get with BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas, to get some money back if your first bet misses.
All right, so just to reset here, make sure you hit that like button too. We're talking about if the Titans, would you rather the Titans lose out or finish strong? And so we talked about this because Brian Callahan was asked about tanking specifically yesterday. And obviously that's not how it worked for the coaches and the players. The plan is to not tank. But Sam and I put together, and Easton too, in our pre-show call, put together the situation here. Which would you rather have happen? The Titans lose out, which means finishing with 4 wins or less to get a top 4 likely draft pick, or finish strong, which means they get 6 or 7 wins in the season, and maybe they're picking 8, 9, 10, 11, something around there, which would you rather do? So the YouTube poll comes in, and at the first wave of votes, it was about 58% finished strong. 58% finished strong. And I'm not going to say it's because of us, but as soon as you and I answered and started talking and more votes rolled in, lose out flipped it. 64% lose out
Ooh.
to 36% finish strong. So the finish strong people came in fast and then eventually outnumbered by the lose out folks. And so I'm a lose out person. You say lose out person because of different reasons. I just don't believe in Will Levis. And so I don't want to band-aid this thing for another year. And I like your thoughts too of you'd rather them reset and have Rand, Callahan, and the quarterback all be tied together, Brinker too, all be tied together, and you either sink or swim.
Yep. Totally.
So,
yeah, which hasn't happened for this team. And, it's another interesting thing. Like, we talk about marrying your quarterback and your front office and your head coach all together, having them in sync, like you just brought up. But the other thing that I think needs to happen is you have to marry your quarterback, to me, at least when you're starting building something, you have to marry your quarterback to your roster. And one thing that I think is important, Curtis kind of pointed out, talking about Will Levis earlier, is like, even if you believe Josh Allen is Will Levis's ceiling, and let's say he gets there, he's not going to magically do it overnight. Part of the idea that, Brian Callahan was talking about when talking about being patient with quarterbacks is the idea that it maybe takes 3 or 4 years for some of these guys to fully develop into their final form. It's a guy like Geno Smith or Sam Darnold, like taking until year 7 to really like show that they're like good NFL quarterbacks and can be starters in the right system. Mm-hmm. It takes some time. And the other issue that then presents for a team like the Titans is, how do you surround Will Levis with sustained talent when it's going to take some time before he develops? Because by the time Will Levis, let's just say year 4, Will Levis is going to be really good. Well, by the time you're in year 4 for Will Levis, you've got an aging Calvin Ridley, an aging L'Jarius Sneed. Harold Landry's no longer on your team.
Sneed's still here.
Yeah, right. Like Amani Hooker is no longer on your team. You may or may not still have Jeffrey Simmons on your team at that point. Like, so much of your roster is going to turn by the time the quarterback is in a position to actually lead a winning team. And so now you are tasked with replacing, elite defensive linemen and edge rushers and talented wide receivers. Like, there is a burden that then flips onto the front office as well of how do you pair a good roster with a talented quarterback. And it's the teams that can line those things up. I mean, the Texans did it perfectly. The Texans tanked, bottomed out, had a building year. They got CJ Stroud and invested a lot of money and had a good solid year, and they ended up sneaking into the playoffs.
Yeah, I will say,
and now they were able to push in a little bit further, and now they have a really good veteran roster with a young quarterback on a rookie contract, and they were able to time it up well.
Yeah, I think whenever we bring up the Texans in this, the Texans also kind of got a cheat code. Like, they got like an extra life in the video game because the Cleveland Browns gifted them, because the Browns took away Deshaun Watson and gave up a lot of draft picks for him when nobody else was going to do that. And so that allowed the Texans to hit the fast forward button a little bit on their overall rebuild and reset, right? So I think we have to, the Titans don't have that. Like, they're trading D-Hop for very likely like the 165th pick. That's not good. That's not doing much for their fast forward button.
Yeah, so, you're right.
All right, I'm going to get to this because this is an NFL mock draft example. So here we are. It's Halloween. Damn it. I did it. I did a mock draft on the show before.
You have to wait till tomorrow.
No, it's too late.
Oh, it's Halloween today. Wow.
Yeah. I said happy Halloween. Remember, I was trying to guilt you into, or to dupe you into dressing up.
Yeah, but I guess I kind of just forgot that it was Halloween today.
Yes, it is Halloween. So Corey Kinnan, who is an NFL draft analyst who I've become familiar with in the last year or so, I saw this on his Twitter this morning, and it was, just brand new mock draft. Why not? So the Carolina Panthers were the first pick, and they go with Travis Hunter, and the Titans are the second pick. And Bryce Young back starting, right? If Andy Dalton and his family do not get in a car accident, is Bryce Young the starting quarterback today for the Panthers? I don't know. Who knows? But he is. So they go with Travis Hunter, maybe because of that news. The Titans are sitting second with an opportunity to draft the best quarterback. Now, today, Halloween is not the day to say, is it Shador or is it Cam Ward? It's whoever you believe is the best quarterback in the draft. The Titans have a chance to draft them. And Corey Kinnon's idea, it is Shador Sanders. So that is the lose out scenario, right? You have a chance to get the number one quarterback or Shador Sanders or Cam Ward in this draft. We'll see how that plays out. That's the lose out scenario. Let's say they finish strong and they pick. What do you think they pick? If they are 6-11, same record as last year.
I think they're like 12th.
So you want to go 12?
I think there's going to be more bad teams this year, so I don't think they pick quite as high up.
Okay. 11. So this is good because the 12th pick in Corey Kinnon's mock draft this morning is the LA Rams, and they take tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. Now, both Texas tackles are projected top half of the first round guys on Halloween, both the left and the right. Banks is the left tackle. The right tackle Kinnon actually has going slightly higher, who is Cameron Williams, goes 9 of the Dolphins. So regardless, if the Titans can be 9th at 6-11, they could be 12th at 6-11. So you get a chance to draft the right tackle or to draft another tackle. So which is the better scenario? Will Levis in winning 5 to 6 more games, and then you have another tackle to replace NPF, to replace the mold, and have J.C. Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry, Dylan Radins, and this first-round pick tackle with Will Levis? Or would you rather strip it away and play with Shador Sanders and build around him?
I'd rather have Shador Sanders. I mean, maybe not from a football standpoint in 2025, but I called this out on A to Z Sports Primetime on Tuesday night. I think worst take of the season goes to our own Buck Rising, who tweeted out he has zero interest in seeing the Titans draft a quarterback at the top of the draft. I have no interest in seeing them play with Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. I think Buck is rooting for a bridge veteran quarterback. I have no idea what in God's green earth would make Buck have zero interest in drafting a quarterback first overall.
I know it's Buck is watching Sam Darnold. Buck is watching Baker Mayfield. Buck
That's
is watching
fine. You're not
Gino.
winning a super. You're like
Jameis. What about Jameis?
Jameis is the only one I'm down with because Jameis is content.
Because the entertainment factor.
Jameis is the entertainment factor that I'm down for. But
look, hey, Gene, I agree with Buck. Titans ruin quarterbacks. Johnny, agree with Buck. Robbie, agree with Buck.
I don't get it. I don't get why you as a Titans fan would want to root for them to go. Because even all those teams that you listed.
He's right, Sam. Buck's right.
None of those teams are winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
You're lucky. Their hope, Seattle's hope the last 3 years now, Tampa's hope the last 2 years now, all of these teams, your hope is that you go 10-7, 9-8, that you maybe sneak into a wild card, maybe win one playoff game, but you have very clear limitations. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. You're not winning a Super Bowl. I like Baker Mayfield a lot, so I don't want to put his name in with those other two guys, but he's not even one of those bridge guys to me. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Jameis Winston at quarterback, straight up. So you're just wasting another year, getting closer to the new stadium being built.
It's the Colts. You're the Colts, right? Because what did the Colts do? They went Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. Now they're doing the same damn thing with Joe Flacco. Well, at one point they drafted 4th, and they stupidly drafted a quarterback who wasn't good in college, in Anthony Richardson, because he was flashy and super athletic.
That's fine. But I'd rather take the swing. I'd much rather take the swing than go, Jameis Winston in 2025, bring back Marcus Mariota for 1 year because he looked kind of good as a backup in 2026. See if you can, revitalize Zach Wilson in 2027. Like, is that what Buck wants? Is that what the chat wants here? I don't get how that makes sense at all.
I think he's looking like, and this is just, now we're talking about a Buck take, which is fine. Cause I also saw this, I favorited this from actually before we were even live. Cause Gene said, I can't believe Buck last night on primetime said he would take Anthony Richardson over Levis. Ain't no way I'd take him over Levis. Cause I would not take Anthony Richardson over Will Levis either. Buck's topic was, who would you take, Levis, Richardson, or Bryce Young? I would take Levis. And at this point, I would take Will Levis. But still, like, I think Buck is looking at
Sam Darnold. You put Sam Darnold on this team, they're 1-6. You put Geno Smith on this team, they're 1-6. You put any of those guys. I don't think Mason Rudolph is worse than those guys. I think the team sucks, and you need a young quarterback to build around that can take your team to the next level. The reason Sam Darnold and Geno Smith and Jameis Winston, the reason those guys will work in certain instances is because you get them into a scheme that is successful for them, and they have got a lot of talent around them. All of those guys have good offensive lines in Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa, if you're looking at Baker Mayfield. All of those guys have weapons. Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Like,
look, so because Darren says, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Sam. Look, I also agree with Sam. Like, and so I'm playing devil's advocate because Buck is not here. And so I'm thinking, right? So what if, again, we're getting really deep on Halloween. What if it is the bridge quarterback? Because Sam Darnold should be available because the Vikings just invested in JJ McCarthy, who's out for the year. Sam Darnold might be available. What if it's Sam Darnold?
The only way that
the Titans draft somebody in their really good position to build around, and they have another year of this young offensive line coming together, another year of the whole unit coming together, and you had a veteran guy to come in with a high talent. Because there's a difference in Mason Rudolph and Sam Darnold. Mason Rudolph was a 3rd round pick. Sam Darnold was a top 10 pick because of their baseline talent, right? So Sam Darnold has a higher ceiling, according to the entire league, than Mason Rudolph. And now Sam Darnold has gained experience over his failures to be able to rise that. I think that's the argument there.
But here, so I get that, right? But here's and I can see a world, right, where maybe you get 1 year of Sam Darnold as you also draft a top quarterback and, help that young quarterback. If that's what you see being better for you, sure. The only other reason I think it makes sense to go with a Sam Darnold, whoever, bridge quarterback, again, like, people laughed at me when I said Zach Wilson. I think that is a very real, like, somebody is going to try and start Zach Wilson as a reclamation project at some point. Somebody's going to do it with Justin Fields next year. Like,
Fields makes sense.
Sure,
Zach Wilson doesn't make sense.
I mean, he showed flashes. You get him in the right, like, it didn't make sense for a team to do it with Geno Smith, but then he sits as a backup for 3 years and teams get some funny ideas. The only way that makes sense to me is if you're not in a position to draft a top guy. If you're picking 12th and the top quarterbacks are gone and you can take the tackle, then you take the tackle and you try and grab the veteran quarterback because you don't have the draft pick. So, but hey, let me finish this thought here, because Buck's exact tweet, I have zero interest in watching the Titans draft another quarterback next season while they, quote, figure out what they have. Here's my problem with it. Let's say the Titans tank. Let's say they lose out. Let's say they have a top pick in the draft and then they don't take a quarterback. They go take some, an edge rusher, whatever it is. They add a top talent and they go into the next year with Sam Darnold at quarterback. And you're figuring out what you have. I can see where you're aligned there. But what happens when you win 7 games with Sam Darnold and now you're not in a position to get your next quarterback? And now you're stuck like the Seahawks or the Bucks or any of these teams that are now paying your bridge quarterback to be the quarterback because you won too many games. When you are in a position as a team that is in quarterback purgatory, if you're in a spot to draft a young quarterback and it's the top guy in the class, you take the swing. I don't think that should never be complicated.
So I think in that scenario, in the following draft, it's going to take some balls to go do something. And it's going to take what happened with the Texans and what happened with the Chiefs, where they had to make a massive trade in the first round up to get Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
But that's also that's lucky though, because
it is, but like
you need a team that's willing to trade out and doesn't need a quarterback, and you need the quarterback that you like to be the guy that falls
for sure. So my light bulb that went on and is the Falcons. The Falcons were picking 8th last year. They paid a bridge quarterback veteran and Kirk Cousins a lot. Then
the bridge though, Kirk Cousins is an established starter
for sure. You know, they did that, and then they drafted Penix because now they're doing both. And like that might actually not.
Everybody agreed that was dumb
at the time. I don't know. It might be smart.
How?
It might be smart because like it might be smart to build winning culture around Kirk Cousins and then have Michael Penix sit and wait, because young quarterbacks are flopping way more often than they are succeeding and thriving. And so like I think if you're not going to get the Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels level, then it might be smart. It might be smart to get the guy who deserves to sit. Like it might be. I don't know. It could be dumb. It could be
worth
smart.
burning a first round pick that can help you build the foundation.
If Michael Penix Jr. is legitimately good in a couple of years, then yeah, it was worth it. Just like Jordan Love was worth it. Now, 8th pick versus 27th or whatever it was. It's a big difference.
I get that, but you're also like very much handicapping what your team is going to be able to do with Kirk Cousins, because that's a good team that's going to make the playoffs. And now imagine they had an elite edge rusher or an elite, whatever player with that pick instead of Michael Penix.
But they can get a good, because it doesn't matter, because they can go get an elite edge rusher. You can go get a good defensive player at a wild card losing draft slot. You can. As long as it's not Caleb Farley. But you can.
Pull up the draft order. I mean, who else could they have grabbed at that spot? I mean, the obvious one is Rome Odunze is literally, and like, imagine
making that big a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather get the quarterback. Again, I'm not saying it's a dumb move.
I mean, they already had Kyle Pitts, but you can go and get like a Brock Bowers. You can go and get Laiatu Latu, who's awesome as a defensive end. Like there was a lot of options for the Falcons to improve their football team with Kirk Cousins.
Again, the other aspect about the Falcons example is that they trade away the day 2 guy after in the same offseason, right? That is where I think there's a potential comp to the Titans, that you trade away your day 2 guy that wasn't it in Desmond Ridder and Will Levis. You find a veteran that is.
But who's that veteran? Because there's a difference between Kirk Cousins, who they gave $100 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
like
that was. I mean, Kirk Cousins' agent is like a Hall of Fame.
But I mean, Kirk Cousins is like a top 10 quarterback. He's towards the back end of the top 10, but we know he's around that number 10 range. We know you can win with him because we've seen the Vikings do it for years. And so you know that you're going to get a proven veteran who's going to come in, who's going to make all the right decisions, who's going to lead your offense and can lead an explosive offense.
This is if you have like a pick 8 through 12 and the quarterback that you might get there is not a ready to go day 1 starter, but you want him because you want him to develop it.
I agree with that. Like, I have a different opinion on this. If you tell me that the Titans are signing Kirk Cousins to a 3-year deal, this offseason, rather telling me that they're going to run it with Sam Darnold and hope for the best. I think there's a huge difference there.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we got into a lot of different things there that we probably should have saved for a rainy day. But all right, we do have some super chats.
We can rehash it at any point. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. All right,
got a long season.
We do. All right, we have some super chats to get to, so we're going to do that. But first, if you guys want to help out our state, Tennessee is covered in litter. It's a bad scene out there, but we can make this thing better together by joining TDOT's campaign to end littering across Tennessee with NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. November starts tomorrow. It's a great opportunity to clean up our state in the month of November because we're about to be driving away holiday lights and everything looking all festive, but you don't want to see litter that just ruins all the festivities as we enter the holiday season. It's a great chance for maybe you and your kids to get out there and show them some volunteer experience and get that under their belt by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com. All you have to do is click find a litter cleanup near you that's already organized, sign up and show up. It's as simple as that by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. When you sign up with BetMGM, get up to $1,500 back into your account in the form of a bonus bet. NHL, NBA, college basketball, which I'm super pumped for, right around the corner, and even the NFL. If you're wanting to bet on some non-Titans games or fade your Titans if you have no faith in them, whatever it is, use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. Use BetMGM. That's the sportsbook born in Vegas for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets.
All right, so Darren says for Levis to change his narrative, he's got to put up God tier numbers. It's the second God tier comment that Darren's had today. Sunday and on out. Not at all likely. It's low key how.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if Will Levis needs to be blow you away awesome. But if Will Levis plays and Easton and I had this conversation yesterday, what would it take from Will Levis the rest of the way to change the narrative or change his fate as Titans quarterback here on out? Mm-hmm. And kind of like, what if he has a month where he's averaging about 250 yards a game? So let's take 1 month. Will Levis throws for about 1,000 yards. He throws for 8 touchdowns. He throws 1 interception. The Titans lose 1 game in that stretch, right? What if it's 250, 2 touchdowns, no picks? That's not incredible. But if you can do that with consistency and win some games, I think the narrative around him starts to shift very quickly. So I don't think it has to be like out of this world numbers for Will to shift people's perspective.
Yeah. Overall, I agree. Steve says, could the NFL bring in a draft lottery for the bottom 10 to 12 teams to stop all the tanking nonsense?
How do you feel about this?
They would have to prove that tanking is a problem.
Do you?
Yes. Because
the lottery is difficult.
Because
I like a lottery.
In the NBA, where the lottery is the thing, right? It is so easy, so much easier in the NBA to purposefully tank by playing bad players. Because you can get guys on 10-day, 2-way contracts to come in, play a couple games, suck, and then just go play your hearts out, but just can't shoot and can't play defense and aren't good enough. In the NFL, you don't have that type of – you don't have the different back and forth of the roster. It doesn't churn as much as the NBA rosters can. Like, there's 82 games. Like, you can sit guys on a did not play coach's decision and get away with that and not have it be – it is loud tanking, but like in the NFL, you don't loud tank. It doesn't.
What about an MLB style lottery?
How does that work?
So, they just implemented it, and I have to say, as a White Sox fan, I am
not happy.
It's brutal right now. So what they did, this was what the MLB added too much nuance to this, and what they did was really toxic and bad. But essentially, they created a lottery only for the top 10. And the top 10 teams go into a lottery. Every team thereafter is in order of reverse record. And the top 10 is a regular lottery to some extent, but you can only move up so far. The wrinkle that MLB added was that you can only pick in the top 10 2 years in a row. So if you pick in the top 10 one year because you suck, and then you pick in the top 10 and you're in the lottery the next year because you suck, that third year that you suck, you get at best the 11th pick in the draft. And because you only get the 11th pick in the draft, it then incentivizes teams that are at the bottom of the league that are continuously refusing to spend money and are tanking. And it gives them a reason to win some games and be more competitive. Now, the problem is that it was implemented at pretty much the worst possible time for my White Sox, who accidentally sucked one year, they thought they were going to be good and were not good. And because of that, they were then picking in the top 10 in back-to-back years.
Mhm.
Then they had to tear it down. This year, they were the worst team of all time. And they are not getting the number 1 overall pick in the MLB draft. They are picking 11th after being the worst team of all time because of the new draft lottery rules. And
That
is,
seems like it should have been a clean slate for the White Sox. Anyway,
it was
rough.
implemented literally right as the White Sox were supposed to be competing and then accidentally sucked. But now you're like, we have to tear it down, but we really need the draft capital.
That's brutal.
So yeah, the Sox are picking 11th after getting like 40 wins this year, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I just don't think you can do that in the NFL. I just think they're too different. And Josh brings up, you're getting hit in football. It's harder to take plays off at some positions when games more physical to tank like that in basketball. Like it's just like you can't. It just doesn't work the same. So like it would be very tough for the NFL does a great job of parity because you have the ability to be bad and then be better quicker. And because they don't have the lottery. So I would be against the lottery in the NFL.
I think it'd be fun.
Well, because now it's like,
I mean, especially because of think MLB, right? The stakes of the MLB draft are kind of inconsequential. Like obviously number 1 overall pick is awesome because those guys are stars a lot of the time, but like, you can whiff on a number 1 overall pick just as easily. And whether it's a shortstop or an outfielder or a pitcher, like it's all over the place. Imagine having 5 teams in the NFL that need a quarterback and they're in the lottery and there's like 3 really good quarterbacks at the top of the draft and the lottery is like determining.
Yeah,
that's electric.
It's great entertainment, but like Matt brings up a good point. All the other sports have developmental leagues. The NFL doesn't. And so like there's aspects
the
to
NBA
that too.
Does not. I mean,
it does.
I mean, yeah, but not for like the first overall pick in the draft is not going to the developmental.
Yeah, they don't have a farm system, I guess is fair. By the way, Mason Kinsey is officially back.
Yeah.
Officially.
Officially.
As of just now. I had a point. Where it would really suck, I think, is that if a team needs a quarterback and they are desperate for a quarterback and the lottery screws them over, and you have a team that doesn't need a quarterback that is picking above the team that desperately needs a quarterback, now there's a ransom for a trade. That is where I don't like it.
And a team gets a ransom basically for free
because of the way the ping pong ball bounced, which I don't like at all. Because now you're double punishing the team that just needs a quarterback.
That's fair. There's also like a lot of rumors, obviously, about or a lot of like outrage about rigging lotteries and stuff and big market.
We don't need any of that.
It'd be shocking. It's like, the Dallas Cowboys were 9th and now they have the 1st overall pick and get the superstar player. I'm sure there would be a lot of people that would make conspiracy theories and stuff. And the Titans would probably always get screwed.
Right, for sure. All right. Let's go ahead and we had one more kind of a super chat. Shout out Lloyd. Appreciate the buck, Lloyd.
Hell yeah.
All right. So
go,
now it is time for a little magic bucket to wrap up this Thursday. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com in Lebanon. All right, magic bucket time. We'll see how many times it takes for me to pull something that we haven't had already. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. This is for me because you went first last time. I have done change a tire. Easton, if you're listening, we need your magic bucket slips.
Slacking.
All right. Done that one. That was the blow the kiss into the camera.
That one sucks. I've also had to do that one.
I have done the most difficult tongue twister in the world. Have you done that one?
No.
Do you want to? Just for sake of time?
Pull another one.
The tiniest piece of paper.
And I also might have done it. I don't remember. It would be. depending on.
Man, we've done all these. Have I worn a top hat and a monocle?
I don't know. I've worn a top hat and a monocle.
You have?
I have.
I feel like I have because I feel like I bought one.
Yeah, I think you gave me yours.
Yeah. So, damn it. There's nothing more frustrating than this right here. It's just picking through all these things that I've already done. I have not done this one.
Okay.
Oh man. On the next show, during one of the ad reads, you must read it in a British accent.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Do you want to practice real quick or?
Nope. I will practice on my own.
All right, there you go.
That's great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great one.
Where the hell has that been this whole time? Jeez. All right. Well, this is appropriate. Have you done Trump impression or Biden?
I
have.
Can I pass?
I think you have. I think you've done it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was like a year ago, but
God, all right. I'm getting sick of this.
you really got to do it one weekend. You just got to replace the magic bucket.
I need help. Easton was supposed to have 20 for me.
Yeah.
Gosh, what the heck? Fashion trend. Heisman Trophy winners.
If you pull 3 more and you don't get one, I'll do the tongue twister. I'll just.
Do you have a pet at home?
No.
Have you sung your school's fight song?
Yes.
Gosh, what? All right.
I'm happy to do that one again too, by the way. Shout out to Sean.
Turtle and Tortoise. There's so many things in here. I am getting so mad right now, everybody. Clip-on earrings. Necklace. You want a necklace?
Yeah. Why don't chat? If you can come up with one good in like the next 2 minutes or minute, I'll do it. But
I'm about to kick the magic bucket out of my house. All right. Here you go, Sam. You have to do the MIT appointed most difficult tongue twister in the world.
okay. Are you going to text it to me?
I'm going to text it to you.
Okay.
As I speak out loud. Had kid poured curd pulled cod. There you go. Pad kid poured curd pulled cod.
What? That doesn't see. This is what I hate about this. It doesn't make.
This is according to MIT. So,
pad kid poured curd pulled cod. Pad kid poured curd pulled cod. Pad kid poured curd pulled cod.
Keep going.
Pad kid poured curd pulled cod. Pad kid poured curd pulled cod. Pad kid poured curd pulled cod. Shit. Okay. Come on. MIT. Duh.
Well, you just dunked on that. So, congratulations. Okay,
we've
got to read. We have to.
The seashells one is more difficult than that.
Then do that.
She sells seashells by the seashore. Yeah. Actually, that one's not that hard either.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just good at tongue twisters.
Maybe you are. Maybe that's just your hidden talent. All right, we have to reset the magic bucket because this is getting bad. I'm sorry, T-Dot. I've littered all over my office this morning. But all right, that's it for us. Like the show before you go. Subscribe to the channel as well. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, hit that like button. We need you guys' help to hit the like button as well. Sam and Easton tomorrow on the show. I'm off for the rest of the week, so you'll hear my British accent on Monday. It'll be a surprise for Zach, which will be even better. All right,
Irish
guys.
Wristwatch. Irish wristwatch.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate it as always.